Hey, so I'm going to answer an email from Chrissy, but first of all, I want to talk about this. So, I don't actually really like American chocolate because it tastes like somebody forgot to actually add the chocolate, don't you think? So this is not mine, and I wouldn't be buying M&Ms, but this was up in the office, and I was just like, I fancy a bit of chocolate. There was all these bags of this stuff, right? Fun size. Like, who the fuck thinks that is fun? Like, whomever decided to call these things fun size, like, that's a bit weird, isn't it? You're basically saying like, oh, let's like not eat very much and just have a tiny teasing amount of food and call that fun. Like, whose idea of fun is that? I would never let that person hang out with my children. I don't have any children, but if I did have children, I would never let that person hang out with them. Like, that's a weird, what else do you think is fun, you sick twit? Anyway, so I'm just like, oh yeah, just fancy some M&Ms. So I was just walking through the office. And then, all right, I don't know if you can see this. Oh, I'd have to change the camera. That is it. That is the whole packet of M&Ms. Like, that's not even mouth, what is that? That's a mouthful. Nothing. Anyway, I just thought I'd whine about that. I mean, I don't even like M&Ms that much, but if I'm going to eat them, I'm going to actually eat them. Okay, so Chrissy was saying, what was Chrissy saying? Oh, Chrissy's question was, when do you know how to stop, not when do you know how to stop eating, but when do you know how you've eaten enough food? And I think this is a really common one for people in recovery, because what happens is when you're in recovery, you usually want to eat a huge amount of food, which is absolutely fine, and you should totally do that. But, like, most of the time you know, well, this is going to last a while, I'm going to want to eat a huge amount of food for a while, but then it's going to die down at some point, and it's going to normalise. That's the whole point, right? But the thing is that when it normalises, that's difficult to get your head round, because for so long, all you've ever known is that you're either hungry or, well, you're hungry, or you're eating a huge amount of food. And it's hard to get your head around just eating a smaller amount of food and not eating that smaller amount of food because you're restricting, but that actually being what satisfies you. That's hard to imagine that that's true. So when I used to just eat, and I used to eat these Heinz tinned puddings, and the tinned puddings, I don't even know if they still make them anymore. They might have made them illegal, because they're just basically like syrup and some sponge. Anyway, I can't get them in America. I've never seen them, but Heinz used to do these tinned puddings where you take them out of the tin, it'd be like a syrup pudding, and then you put it in the microwave, and it's supposed to be, on the tin it would say feeds 4 people. But I shit you not, I used to eat 4 of those in a go with like ice cream and custard, just one after the other, and that was that's what I needed to eat, and that's not all I'd eat after either. That would be after multiple amounts of chocolate bars and cereal, and that was just like part of my evening after dinner eating when I was in recovery, not to mention the jars of peanut butter. But anyway, so let's just say that was a huge amount of food, and I couldn't even imagine at that point, I couldn't even imagine eating one of those tinned puddings that are supposed to feed 4 people, or maybe it was 8 people, I can't even remember. I couldn't imagine eating one of those and feeling satisfied on it. That would just feel like I would have to be restricting to only eat one of those. That was what it felt like to me when I was in that post-starvation hyperphagia stage of recovery, that to eat anything less than this large amount of food that I quite quickly got used to eating, I would have to be restricting. And it feels really weird I'd still remember the first time I sort of just ate like what somebody would consider a relatively normal amount of food, and was like, yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I know, Dave. That was Dave actually just looking at this. She's not impressed either, are you? It's ridiculous, Dave. It's not even fun size for Dave. This is sad size, isn't it, Dave? Yeah. Anyway, so Chrissy, what happens is that as you're brain and your body start to think, oh, there's no famine in here, and you come out of energy deficit and you come out of energy debt. That's really important to remember. This is not just dependent on your weight. You can still be in energy debt even if you've gained weight. But when you start to come out of those things, then your capacity, or just even your desire to eat huge amounts of food is, Dave, your desire to eat huge amounts of food is just diminishes. And so it's not that you're restricting, it's that you're like, oh, I'm done. I don't want to eat anymore. Like, it's really weird when it starts to happen. I thought it was weird anyway. It just felt like, really? Who is this person? Oh, it's me. But that's how it works out. And there's nothing I think that you can do to influence when that happens. It happens when your body's ready. And, well, I guess there is something you can do. You could not restrict, and it will happen sooner. Because recovery is about convincing your brain that there's no food scarcity, as well as getting out of energy deficit and energy debt. So the more you just allow yourself and try not to think about it or worry about it, just let your body take over and eat as much as your body's asking you for. And that amount will change when your body has come out of energy deficit and energy debt and no longer thinks that food is scarce. But if you're restricting, well, your brain's pretty damn smart, so it'll be like, maybe food's still scarce, so I should definitely eat 20 puddings tonight. See?